Arirang Special.
Over the years, the world has seen countless unexpected events shake up the existing order, all of which have brought on their fair share of confusion and chaos.
세계 경제가 옛날 같지 않습니다.
This time, a major shift is about to take place on the trade front.
People are starting to question the benefits of globalization.
This is like a trade war, right? We don't like a trade war.
This has all been sparked by the 2016 US presidential election and its final outcome.
I am going to renegotiate NAFTA.
We're not going to make these horrible trade deals anymore.
We must replace the present policy of globalism.
Just imagine how many more automobile jobs will be lost if the TPP is actually approved.
Now with Donald Trump sworn in as the next leader of the United States, many are asking what impact will his policies, especially on the trade front, have on Asian economies?
America first. Remember that.
After a long campaign for the White House, Donald Trump triumphed over Hillary Clinton and has been inaugurated as the 45th President of the United States.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
the office of President of the United States.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Both Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party saw their share of losses in the protracted battle, but now eyes are on what will become of free trade.
Every decision on trade, on taxes, on immigration, on foreign affairs will be made to benefit American workers and American families. We must protect our borders from the ravages of other countries, making our products, stealing our companies, and destroying our jobs.
세계 경제가 옛날 같지 않습니다. 기본적으로 저성장이 뉴노멀이 될 정도로 경제 성장률이 낮은 편이고 또 앞으로 그러면은 미래가 밝냐 그것도 결코 아니거든요. 자, 지금까지 경험으로 본다면은 경제가 안 좋을 때는 보호무역주의가 득세를 꼭 해왔었습니다.
Free trade is a policy of treating foreign goods and services no differently than domestic goods and services by removing restrictions on imports and exports between countries. While Trump's policies have so far pointed in the opposite direction of this, ironically, China has emerged as one of the biggest proponents. At this year's World Economic Forum in Davos, Chinese President Xi Jinping offered a vigorous defense of free trade.
世界经济仍然未能开辟出一条新路。世界经济的大海，搞保护主义，如同把自己关入黑屋子，看似躲过了风吹雨打，但也隔绝了阳光和空气。打贸易战的结果只能是两败俱伤。
So if the most powerful man in China's Communist Party is trying to defend a global trade structure that has dominated the latter half of the post-war era, then why is Trump pushing for protectionist policies? America's economic growth so far has no doubt been propelled by free trade. It holds free trade pacts with 20 countries and several bilateral and regional economic integration initiatives. But despite the benefits, the influx of cheap foreign goods has also challenged the economic makeup of America. Manufacturing jobs have shrunk, and real wage growth has been stagnant, which is why Trump's rhetoric on trade appears to have resonated with so many blue-collar workers. The direction of trade policy adopted by Trump has turned the existing narrative on its head, and this shakeup has many countries worried, one of them being Korea.
기본적으로 우리나라 같이 수출에 의존을 많이 하는 나라는 보호무역주의는 굉장히 부정적인 영향이 클 수밖에 없습니다.
The main countries on which he's spoken with respect to these issues are China and Mexico. But it's not impossible he could raise the issue of renegotiating aspects of the chorus.
With outbound shipments taking up nearly half of Korea's GDP, Trump's move towards protectionism and the possibility of renegotiating the Korea-US Free Trade Pact are ringing alarm bells. Korea has already been struggling with lackluster exports for the past couple of years, which has dragged down overall growth. A look at the city of Ulsan paints a clearer picture of just how bad things have been on the trade front. Dubbed the industrial powerhouse of the country, Korea's 7th largest city is home to the world's largest shipyard, one of the largest auto assembly plants, and oil refineries.
울산은 우리나라 70년대 고도 성장기를 주도해온 어떤 대표적인 산업 도시입니다. 자동차, 조선, 석유화학 생산 기지가 집저가 되어 있고요. 우리나라 수출에 있어서 가장 큰 어떤 역할을 했다고 자부할 수 있습니다.
이런 주력 품목들이 이제 울산 지역에는 이렇게 집중이 돼 있는 거죠. 그러다 보니까 이제 어떤 수출 의존도 자체가 높기 때문에 그런 어떤 대외 변수의 변화에 의한 그런 영향을 더 크게 받는다고 볼 수 있습니다.
According to Ulsan Customs, after the seaside city reached roughly $101 billion in exports back in 2011, outbound shipments have dipped almost every year, hitting an estimated $65 billion as of last year.
수출 부진의 그 요인으로는 그 계속되는 저유가 기조 속에 글로벌 경기 둔화라는 대외 변수와 함께 자동차, 조선, 석유화학 등 울산 주력 산업이 이미 그 성숙화되었고 그리고 신성장 동력의 성과가 지체되는 등 복합적인 요인으로 그 작용할 것으로 분석되고 있습니다.
The increasing number of import restrictions against Korea is not helping either. Korea International Trade Association says 40 more import restrictions were imposed last year, up roughly 48% from the previous year. With that, a total of 184 import restrictions have been imposed on the country as of the end of last year, with anti-dumping tariffs taking up the largest chunk.
사실상은 미국 기업들의 제소를 막을 수 있는 방법은 없습니다. 대신 우리가 할 수 있는 거는 그 제소가 일어나기 전에 우리의 어떤 수입 물량 측면에서 제소를 당하지 않게끔 좀 조심하는 측면이 하나 있을 것 같고요. 그 다음에 우리가 제소를 당해서 조사를 받게 되더라도 사실 조사 과정에 우리가 어떻게 대응하냐에 따라서 그 어떤 덤핑 마진율이나 이런 거는 굉장히 커질 수 있습니다. 이 폭이. 그래서 그런 걸 최소화하기 위해서는 기업들이 조금 준비를 철저히 해야 될 것 같고요.
America was Korea's second largest trading partner last year, accounting for about 13% of total outbound shipments. Korea logged a trade surplus with the U.S. of about $70 billion in 2015, helped along by the bilateral trade deal that has been in effect since 2012. But what's worrisome is that if the agreement were to be scrapped, local think tanks like Hyundai Research Institute project export losses could reach up to $13 billion over the next 4 years, potentially taking with it 127,000 jobs.
미국에 대해서 무역수 적자를 누린 나라는 하여튼 뭐 어떤 형태든 보호무역주의 조치를 취하겠다라는 게 트럼프 정부의 기본 기조이기 때문에 우리한테도 보호무역주의 불똥이 상당히 튈 수 있다.
일단 우리는 수출을 해야 되는데 우리가 수출해야 하는 시장들이 만약에 문을 걸어 닫게 되면 뭐 시장 자체가 없어지는 거기 때문에 굉장히 그 부정적 영향이 큰데요. 일단은 뭐 지금은 뭐 미국이나 선진국 시장부터 시작된다 하더라도 이게 신흥국까지 만약에 파급된다 그러면 이제 우리나라 같은 그런 무역 의존도가 큰 나라한테는 아무래도 그 수출이 감소할 수 있는 큰 요인이 될 수 있죠.
Along with Korea, another country that's been struggling with low growth is Japan.
一つなぜ低成長が続いているのかっていうところを考えていくと、一つがやっぱりその少子高齢化がこれから深刻になっていく、子どもが少なくなって高齢者が増えるっていうのが深刻になっていくっていうのがもう明らかに見えている。
With the proportion of seniors aged 65 years and older already accounting for about 27% of the total population, the youth in Japan can't help but worry about the burden they'll one day have to bear to support this rapidly growing population.
全体的に若い人たちの間ではその先行きが不安だと思っている人が多くてですね、それでできるだけ転職してもやっていけるようにいろいろなスキルだったりとかを身につけようという動きはいろんな人たちの間であると思うんですね。であとは失敗するとその後立ち直るのが難しい状況なので、そこに対して怯えている人はとても多いと思っています。
良くなると信じたいところはあるんですけど、やっぱりこれから TPP が今トランプ大統領が就任してどうなるかっていうのは分からないので、正直分からないというのが僕の今の段階ですかね。でもただ2020年にオリンピックがあるので、そこまではなんとかなるかなと。
Sure enough, preparations for the Tokyo Olympics are well underway, with investment being poured into everything from a new stadium to electric cars. Bolstering tourism has been a big push for the Japanese government, evident in the famous district of Asakusa filled with foreign visitors. After Prime Minister Shinzo Abe came to power in 2012, his key economic initiative dubbed Abenomics helped push down the yen, giving rise to a constant increase of tourists. From about 8.3 million visitors, tourist numbers climbed to a record 24 million last year. And by 2020, Japan expects to welcome as many as 40 million foreign visitors.
夏とかあとはゴールデンウィークとかすごい長期休暇の時には書き入れ時で人がいっぱいいますね。なので今ちょっと寒かったり雨だったりで今日は人少ないんですけど、この間のクリスマスとかはもうすごい人いっぱいいましたし、年末からお正月明けてからとかもまた浅草すごい人であふれるのでいっぱいいますね。
Abenomics is a three-pronged economic policy that seeks to remedy 2 decades of stagnation by increasing the nation's money supply, boosting government spending, and enacting structural reforms to make the economy more competitive. Abenomics expert Park Sang-jun says the ambitious plan has so far been successful.
Japan suffers deflation, but the good point in the Japanese market currently is that the labor market is very, very good. Therefore, Japanese people do not have any complaint regarding their jobs and their job prices. And this is boosting the economy.
Overall, Abenomics has been successful because the Japanese economic growth has been sustained, and labor market conditions have improved tremendously since the global financial crisis. The rate of unemployment has been declining as a trend, and labor market tightening has been taking place. So many firms are hiring workers, and income growth has been slow, but income growth has been taking place.
Despite these results, Abe's signature policy has now been confronted with a major stumbling block. Significant structural reforms to boost competitiveness hinge largely upon the mega trade deal, the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Prime Minister Abe also considers TPP major part of Abenomics structural policy, because TPP would require substantial structural changes on the part of Japan, in particular the agricultural sector.
The 12-nation trade pact, which took over 5 years to negotiate, encompasses about 40% of the world's economy. While the far-reaching deal has the potential to boost Japanese exports by over 23% and increase its GDP by 2.5% by 2030, the outlook now looks bleak, with Trump signing an executive order officially pulling out of the deal.
Great thing for the American worker, what we just did.
But despite this, Tokyo said it will continue its campaigning for the mega trade pact and try to convince the new U.S. president to rethink his stance, banking on the window of opportunity left open until February of 2018, the final deadline for ratification.
トランプ大統領は自由で公正な貿易の重要性については認識していると考えており、TPP 協定が持つ戦略的経済的意義についても腰を据えて理解を求めていきたいと考えています。
Another major Asian economy that has seen great benefits from international trade is Hong Kong.
Shenzhen Hong Kong Stock Connect has begun.
On December 5th, the Shenzhen Hong Kong Stock Connect kicked off, giving foreign investors access to over 800 more mainland-listed shares. But as foreign investors creep further into the mainland Chinese market, one of the things that may be weighing on their minds is what impact the new Trump administration and its trade policies will have on the Chinese economy and local companies.
It will still have an impact on some of the East Asian countries that supply intermediate and capital goods to China as part of the supply chain. And it takes a while for supply chains to move. So I think at the margin, Taiwan, Malaysia, even Korea, they export intermediate and capital goods to China. That again could be affected if China's sort of final export outlook going into US is affected by such punitive trade policies.
Trump has long threatened to impose a 45% import tax on Chinese goods once he takes office, raising concerns of a full-blown trade war breaking out between the two countries. The president's appointment of outspoken China critic Peter Navarro as head of the White House National Trade Council has further intensified these worries. Navarro has claimed that China's rapid development was largely helped by Beijing's alleged currency manipulation in order to make exports cheaper, and that this has hurt U.S. interests.
Whether China is a currency manipulator is unclear. On the one hand, China, or the central bank in China, did step in the currency market and sometimes push up the Chinese yuan, sometimes pull it down. That really happened, but it doesn't necessarily mean that China is a currency manipulator.
While Trump has pledged to get tough on China, experts say it is yet unclear whether he will be able to justify his threats of designating Beijing a currency manipulator and slapping it with higher import taxes.
Yeah, if you target China, say suppose you want to impose a 45% tariff on China, you need to find reasons, not just say I don't like China trade, so I will impose trade policy.
One of the main reasons cited has been the massive chronic trade deficit that America has seen over the years with the world's second largest economy. According to the United States Census Bureau, America's trade deficit with China has been growing every year, hitting a record $367 billion in 2015.
The 45% tariff is a very big headline grabbing attention targeted at China. what that would mean is obviously from China's standpoint, that will be, that will cause a lot of pressure on renminbi to depreciate, further fuel capital outflow, and it will also raise the risk of China having to retaliate. Next year is a leadership transition year in China, so I don't think China can afford to look too weak in this environment. So there's a real risk of a tit-for-tat trade war, and that type of policy action could be very bad for global growth.
All things considered, losing its biggest trading partner would be a major blow to the Chinese economy. International trade accounted for about 41% of its gross domestic product in 2015, and of that, the US took up 18%. But despite this, experts say the world's second-largest economy can still deliver a powerful counterpunch by also launching investigations of its own on US imports.
China can also launch many investigations against the U.S. export to China, and by the name of anti-dumping or unfair trade, or for security reason, because this is a retaliation. You don't really need hard evidence.
Targeting American firms is another countermeasure Beijing could employ. Not only can China stop its billion-dollar investments to the US, but it can also make business environments tougher for American firms operating within the mainland.
We know that many big multinationals, American multinationals, make investment in China through FDI. So they do business in China. They get very good treatment in the past. But China can use its anti-dumping, anti-trust, this anti-monopoly law, to investigate it, to identify some U.S. multinationals in China that you violated the competition law in China and you need to stop your business. And this will give a lot of trouble to American companies.
With both sides having so much to lose, many hope a trade war will be an unlikely scenario and that Trump's aggressive China bashing will be rhetoric and no more than that. There also believes that his business acumen in the end will prevail.
Trump, being a business person who can think about the impact of policy on the American corporate sector, Trump would not go for a very aggressive anti-trade policy.
관세가 35% 매기게 되면은 최소한 단가는 50% 이상 올라갈 겁니다. 그러면 일반 국민들이 그거 좋아하겠습니까?
We will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you.
It is still unclear what President Trump's pledge to make America great again will mean for other countries around the world, including major economies in Asia. Experts agree, in the face of such uncertainties, regional integration is key.
But in Asia, I think that there's opportunity for as U.S. withdraws, that a lot of countries here will look for alternative arrangements, both on trade and investment arrangements. And this is an opportunity, for example, for the likes of China, even the likes of North Asia, to kind of take a bigger role here in terms of facilitating new arrangements now that U.S. has become less engaged.
차제 WTO에서 어떤 일국이 그 통상 질서를 훼손하는 그런 행위를 하지 못하도록 우리가 WTO에서의 어떤 그런 그 논의를 주도할 필요가 있습니다.
We don't have to do anything special. I think we need to continue to focus on our own domestic sort of home tasks. We have to continue to make our economies resilient to external shocks, and we work together. Asian countries work together so that we can trade and invest with each other much more aggressively.
Under current conditions, change is likely inevitable. New trade policies from the U.S. may push countries into uncharted territory, but as demonstrated time and again, Their hopes that Asian economies will draw from their past of turning crises into opportunities so they can triumph over the year 2017, full of uncertainties ahead.